Your air conditioner might not be failing. Your roof might simply be winning. That is the part most homeowners never think about. You walk into the upstairs bedroom at night, the thermostat says 72. The vents are blowing cold air. The system has been running for hours, but the room still feels heavy. The ceiling feels warm. The walls feel like they have been holding the day inside them. And you do what almost everyone does. You lower the thermostat, then you lower it again, then the electric bill arrives, and somehow the house still does not feel comfortable. So you blame the AC, you blame the insulation, you blame the age of the house, you blame the windows, but the real problem may be sitting above all of it, right over your head. Dark, silent, collecting sunlight all day, turning your attic into an oven, and forcing the rest of the house to pay for it. Your roof is not just a cover. It is not just something that keeps rain out. It is the largest heat collector on many homes. And in summer, it may be the first place your comfort is lost. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Many modern houses are not designed to reject heat first. They are designed to absorb heat, trap heat, and then pay a machine to remove it. That is a stupid system. Expensive, fragile, and completely normal. But old homes did not always think this way. Old builders did not begin with the question, how big should the air conditioner be? They did not have one. So they had to ask a better question. How do we stop the heat before it enters? That one question changes the entire house. It changes the roof, it changes the attic, it changes the porch, it changes the windows, it changes the shade trees, it changes the way air moves through every room. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A hot house is not always a cooling problem. Sometimes it is a heat management failure. And the roof is where the failure begins. Picture a modern subdivision from above. Rows of homes, same pitch, same shape, same dark shingles, black, charcoal, deep brown, dark gray, beautiful from the street, brutal in the sun. By noon, those roofs are absorbing radiation hour after hour. The shingles heat up. The roof deck underneath heats up. The attic air heats up. The ducts sitting in that attic heat up. The ceiling below begins to radiate warmth into the room. And by evening, when the outside air finally cools down, the house is still holding the day. The roof stored the heat, the attic trapped it, the ceiling released it, and the AC got blamed. That is the scam of bad design. The machine gets blamed for a problem the structure created. Now compare that with an older farmhouse in a hot region. Not perfect, not magical, not romantic, just different. A lighter roof, a deep porch, wide eaves throwing shade over the walls, an attic that can breathe, windows placed for cross breeze, trees on the west side. A summer kitchen separated from the main living area, high ceilings that keep warm air above the people, thick walls that slow heat movement, every piece doing a small job, no single miracle, no secret button, no one product save the house, just layers. That is what modern homes forget. Comfort is not one machine, comfort is a system. And old builders understood systems because they had no choice. They could not install a larger compressor to erase every mistake. They could not seal a bad roof inside a chemical foam sandwich and pretend physics went away. They had to work with sunshade, wind, moisture, and mass. They had to understand the sky. And they had to understand the roof. The first rule was simple. Do not invite heat inside. It sounds obvious. Too obvious. But look at the houses around you. Dark roofs, small overhangs, thin attic ventilation, hot ducts above the ceiling, west-facing windows with no shade, outdoor AC units baking in direct sun. Then everyone acts surprised when the cooling bill explodes in July. This is not a mystery. It is evidence. The house is telling you exactly where the heat is coming from. The question is whether anyone is listening. Let's start with the roof surface. Dark materials absorb more solar energy. Light materials reflect more. You learned this as a child. White reflects. Black absorbs. Put your hand on a black car in the sun. Then put your hand on a white one. You do not need a laboratory to understand the difference. The same principle applies to a roof. A light-colored or reflective roof can reduce how much solar heat the roof absorbs. That means less heat pushing down into the attic, less heat soaking into the roof deck, less load for the AC to fight. But this is where people get reckless. They hear white roof and immediately turn it into a universal hack. Paint anything white, roll anything on anything. Throw lime on every roof. Done. No, that is how you damage a house. Roof material matters. Asphalt shingles are not the same as metal. Metal is not the same as tile. A tile is not the same as a flat membrane. A historic lime-washed wall is not the same as a modern asphalt shingle roof with a manufacturer warranty. A roof is not a blank canvas. It is a weather system. If you put the wrong coating on the wrong surface, you may trap moisture, you may accelerate wear, you may void a warranty, you may create a patchy mess that washes into gutters, cars, plants, and rain barrels. The old knowledge was not put white powder on everything. The old knowledge was know the material. That is the difference between wisdom and internet advice. Lime wash is old, very old. It has been used on buildings for centuries. It reflects light. It can protect certain masonry and traditional surfaces. It has been used in hot climates around the world, but hydrated lime is also caustic. It can burn skin. It can damage eyes. It creates dust you should not breathe. So if someone tells you to carry a bucket of it onto a roof with no safety warning, They are not teaching old wisdom. They are selling danger as simplicity. And if someone tells you it works on every roof, they are lying. The trustworthy version is this. Reflective roof surfaces are real. Cool roof products are real. Light-colored metal roofs are real. Roof-rated reflective coatings are real. Certain traditional lime finishes are real on the right surfaces. But the right choice depends on roof type, climate, slope, drainage, warranty, local code, and whether you are trying to cool the house, protect the roof, or both. That is the adult answer. Less exciting, more useful, and much harder to turn into a cheap viral promise, but it will save people from ruining their roofs. Now comes the second layer, shade. Old houses loved shade. Porches were not decorated. They were climate control. A deep porch could block direct sun from hitting walls and windows during the hottest part of the day. Wide eaves could keep rain off the walls and summer sun out of the upper windows. Trees on the west side could block the brutal late afternoon sun. Shutters were not just style. Awnings were not just cute. They were tools, because the cheapest heat to remove is the heat that never enters. Modern homes often ignore that. They build huge west-facing windows and then sell you better glass. They build shallow overhangs and then sell you blackout curtains. They leave the outdoor condenser in full sun and then sell you a larger unit. They design the house like sunlight is not a force. Then you pay the electric company to correct the mistake. Old homes were not always better, but they were often more honest. They treated the sun like something real, because it is. The third layer is the airspace under the roof. This is where many homeowners get trapped. They think the roof is the only problem. It is not. The attic is the amplifier. A dark roof absorbs heat. The attic collects it. If the attic cannot release that heat, the whole upper house suffers. You need air entering low and leaving high. That means soffit vents or eave vents bringing cooler outside air into the lower attic, and ridge vents, roof vents, or gable vents allowing hot air to escape near the top. The path matters. Not just the products. A ridge vent without clear intake is weak. Soffit vents blocked by insulation are useless. A powered attic fan in a leaky attic can pull conditioned air from the living space and waste the very cooling you paid for. This is the part homeowners hate, because it is boring. It is not a shiny product. It is not a secret. It is not dramatic, but it is where real comfort lives. Air has to move correctly. If the attic is trapped, the house is trapped. Old builders often created breathing space without calling it building science. Vent openings, high attic peaks, gables, roof shapes that let hot air rise away from the living space. In some regions, metal roofs were installed with air gaps beneath them. In some hot climates, builders used ventilated roof cavities or double roof ideas. The point was not the exact detail. The point was the principle. Heat should have a way out. Modern homes sometimes forget this because they assume insulation alone will solve everything. It will not. Insulation slows heat transfer. It does not delete heat. If the attic above it is extremely hot for hours, the heat still works its way down. Slowly, quietly, relentlessly. That is why the ceiling can feel warm at night even when the air temperature seems okay. The air conditioner cooled the air, but the ceiling is still radiating heat. And your body feels that. People do not live inside thermostats. They live inside surfaces. A room with cool air and a warm ceiling can still feel uncomfortable. That is what most AC salesmen never explain. They sell air temperature, but your body feels radiant too. Now we get to radiant barriers. This is where the topic usually becomes either overhyped or dismissed. Both sides are lazy. A radiant barrier is usually a reflective material installed in an attic to reduce radiant heat transfer from the hot roof deck into the attic space. It works best when it faces an air gap. It is not the same as normal insulation. Fiberglass, cellulose, and foam mainly slow conduction and convection. Radiant barriers deal with radiant energy. That makes them useful in certain hot, sunny climates, especially when ducts are in the attic. But they are not magic. They do not replace insulation. They do not fix bad ventilation. They do not fix air leaks. They do not create free cooling. They are one layer, a useful layer when installed correctly. And correct installation matters. If a reflective barrier is installed wrong, covered in dust, laid flat, where it traps moisture, or used in a climate where it makes little sense, the results can disappoint. This is exactly why homeowners are confused. One person in Arizona swears it helped. One person in Canada says it was not worth it. One person says face it upward. Another says face it downward. One installer staples it to rafters. Another lays it onto insulation. Everyone argues because everyone is describing a different attic, different climate, different roof, different ducts, different ventilation, different installation, different expectations. That is why the honest answer is not radiant barriers work or radiant barriers do not work. The honest answer is they can work when the problem is radiant heat, the climate is right, and the installation protects the air gap and moisture path. That is not as viral, but it is true, and truth builds channels that last. Now let's talk about winter, because every smart viewer is already asking, if a light roof reflects heat in summer, does it also reject helpful heat in winter? Yes, it can. That is called a winter heating penalty, and pretending it does not exist is dishonest. But the penalty depends on the climate. In hot regions with long cooling seasons, reflective roofs can make strong sense. In mixed climates, it depends. In cold climates with long heating seasons, a dark roof may not be the villain people think it is. Snow cover changes the equation. Low winter sun changes the equation. Shorter winter days change the equation. Attic insulation changes the equation. Fuel costs change the equation. Roof slope changes the equation. There is no one-size answer. A roof in Phoenix is not a roof in Maine. A roof in Houston is not a roof in Minnesota. A roof in Florida is not a roof in Vermont. The old builders knew this without spreadsheets. They built a place. That is another thing modern construction forgot. A home should belong to its climate, not to a national product catalog. The same dark shingle that is foolish in one region may be less foolish in another. The same reflective roof that saves money in one state may produce smaller gains somewhere else. The same radiant barrier that helps a hot attic may do little in a cold, shaded roof. The correct question is not, what is the best roof? The correct question is, what is my climate asking this roof to do? That is where real building intelligence begins. Now, if you already own a house, what can you actually do? Not fantasy, not a dangerous weekend stunt, a real homeowner sequence. First, observe. Do not buy anything yet. On a hot day, go upstairs in the late afternoon. Feel the ceiling, not the air. The ceiling. If the ceiling is warm, your attic is likely feeding heat into the room. Then look at the attic hatch. If it is safe, open it carefully and measure the attic temperature. Use a simple thermometer, not a guess, a number. Write it down. Then ask when the upstairs gets hot. All day? Only late afternoon? Only after sunset? Late day heat often points toward roof and attic heat storage. Morning heat may point toward a different problem. Next, check the roof color. Is it dark, medium, light, reflective, metal, shingle, tile, flat membrane? Do not make changes yet. Just identify what you have. Then check ventilation. Can outside air enter at the eaves? Are soffit vents visible? Are they blocked by paint, dust, insulation, or debris? Can hot air exit near the top? Is there a ridge vent, gable vents, roof vents? Are they working together or fighting each other? This matters more than people think. An attic with blocked intake is like a lung with one side closed. It cannot breathe properly. Then check the attic floor. Is the insulation even? Are there gaps? Is it crushed by storage boxes? Are bathroom fans dumping moist air into the attic? Are ducts leaking or poorly insulated? Is the attic hatch sealed and insulated? These small failures matter. A reflective roof will not fix a bathroom fan dumping moisture into the attic. A radiant barrier will not fix open ceiling holes. More insulation will not fix blocked ventilation. This is why product first advice is weak. The house is a system. If you fix one piece while ignoring the rest, the system may still fail. Now let's talk about the most dangerous temptation. Doing the cheapest looking thing first. You see a video. It says a bag of powder can save your summer. You buy it. You climb the roof. You start painting. Stop! Ask better questions. What roof material do I have? Will this coating bond to it? Will it wash off? Will it damage asphalt oils? Will it void the roof warranty? Will it affect rainwater collection? Will runoff damage metal gutters, car paint plants, or stone? Is it allowed by my HOA? Is the roof safe to walk on? Do I have fall protection? Do I understand the chemical safety of what I am applying? If you cannot answer those questions, you are not doing old wisdom. You are gambling with your house. The safer modern path for most homeowners is this. When re-roofing, ask for cool-rated roofing options. Ask for lighter shingle colors if they make sense in your climate. Ask about reflective metal roofs. Asks about roof-rated coatings made for your specific surface. Ask whether the assembly includes a ventilated roof deck or proper attic ventilation. Ask whether the attic has radiant barrier sheathing or a correctly installed radiant barrier option. Ask what happens in winter. Ask what happens to the warranty. Ask what happens with moisture. A good contractor will not be offended by these questions. A bad one will rush you. That tells you something. And if you live under an HOA, get the rules in writing. Do not assume logic will win. Many homeowners already know this pain. They ask for a light roof in a hot climate, and someone tells them it does not match the neighborhood. Think about that. A dark roof can raise the heat load, but a white or light roof is rejected because it looks different. That is not homeownership. That is aesthetic obedience with an electric bill attached. But fight it intelligently. Do not just break the rule and hope. Bring data, bring product sheets, bring examples, bring nearby homes, bring cooling cost arguments, bring heat ice land arguments, bring safety arguments. The goal is not to rage. The goal is to win. Now here is the deeper story. The roof problem is not really about roofs. It is about how modern homeowners became dependent on systems they do not understand. Most people do not understand their roof. They do not understand their attic. They do not understand radiant heat. They do not understand vapor movement. They do not understand duct leakage. They do not understand how insulation actually works. That ignorance is profitable because when you do not understand the system, you buy whatever product someone puts in front of you. Bigger AC, more insulation, powered attic fan, a coating, a spray foam job, a new roof color, a smart thermostat. Some of those things can be useful. But none of them should be bought blindly. The old way was different, not perfect, but different. People knew the house as a living system. They knew which side got sun. They knew when to open windows. They knew when to close shutters. They knew which tree mattered. They knew why the porch was deep. They knew why the attic needed air. They knew why cooking outside in summer made sense. They knew the house had to cooperate with the weather, not just fight it. Modern life broke that relationship. It turned the home into an appliance. Set the thermostat, pay the bill, call a technician, repeat. That is convenient until it becomes expensive, until the grid strains, until utility rates rise, until the upstairs never cools, until you realize the machine was not the solution. It was the compensation. This is what old cooling knowledge gives back to you. Not a miracle. Agency. You start seeing the house differently. The roof color is no longer just style. The attic is no longer just storage. The porch is no longer nostalgic. The tree is no longer decorated. The vent is no longer a random opening. The ceiling temperature becomes evidence. The electric bill becomes feedback. The house starts talking. And once you hear it, the next step becomes obvious. Reject heat first, then insulate, then ventilate, then seal air leaks, then use machines for what remains. Not the reverse. Most modern homes do the reverse. They let heat in, they trap it, they ignore the attic. They hide ducts in the hottest space in the house, then they install a bigger machine and call it comfort. That is backwards. And the homeowner pays for backwards every month. So what would a better roof system look like? In a hot climate, it might start with a light or reflective roof surface designed for that roof material. Not a random coating, a real roof-rated solution. Under that, proper ventilation, clear soffit intake, clear ridge or high exhaust, no blocked baffles, no dead zones where heat collects. If ducts are in the attic, they are sealed and insulated. The attic hatch is sealed. Ceiling penetrations are air sealed. The insulation is even not crushed, not missing at the edges. A radiant barrier may be used where it makes sense. Trees or exterior shade reduce late afternoon solar load. The outdoor AC unit is shaded without blocking airflow. The windows have exterior shading where the sun is strongest. That is not one hack. That is a heat control system, and every piece reduces the burden on the next. The roof reflects some heat. The shade blocks some heat. The air gap releases some heat. The radiant barrier reduces radiant transfer. The insulation slows what remains. The air sealing keeps attic air out of living space. The AC handles the leftover load. That is how a house should work, layer by layer. Now, in a cold climate, the answer may change. A very reflective roof might not be the first move. Air sealing may matter more. Attic insulation may matter more. Ventilation to prevent moisture may matter more. Ice dams may matter more. Solar gain may be useful in winter. This is why climate matters. Good building advice starts with location. Bad building advice starts with a product. Remember that. If someone online gives the same roof advice to Florida, Arizona, Ohio, Maine, and Canada, they are not advising, they are performing. And performance is expensive when your house is the stage. There is also the issue of safety. Roof work is dangerous. Chemical coatings can be dangerous. Attics can be dangerous. Heat stroke is real. Falls are real. Old wiring is real. Vermiculite insulation may be hazardous. Mold can be real. Pests can be real. Combustion appliances can be affected by aggressive air sealing. This is not fear. This is respect. Old builders respected materials because mistakes had consequences. Modern homeowners need the same respect. Do not climb a steep roof because a thumbnail makes you angry. Do not crawl through an attic at noon in August without thinking. Do not disturb unknown insulation. Do not seal everything without understanding ventilation and combustion safety. Do not let the desire to save money turn into a bigger repair bill. The goal is independence, not recklessness. That is the difference. Now, why did this old knowledge fade? Some of it was money. Let's not pretend otherwise. Industries make money selling products and systems, vac systems, insulation packages, roofing materials, coatings, repairs, electricity. The more your house depends on active cooling, the more valuable that market becomes. But it was not only money, it was convenient, speed, standardization, suburban design, mass production, aesthetics. Codes that focused on some measurements and ignored others. Builders doing what buyers could see, not what they would feel 10 summers later. A beautiful kitchen sells faster than a well-ventilated attic. A dark, fashionable roof photographs better than a performance discussion. A smart thermostat feels modern. A properly shaded west wall feels invisible. That is the problem. The best design decisions are often invisible. You do not notice the heat that never entered. You do not notice the AC that did not need to run. You do not notice the attic that stayed manageable. You do not notice the bill that never arrived. So the market rewards the visible and ignores the useful. Old homes, when they worked well, had invisible intelligence. Modern homes often have visible upgrades and hidden weaknesses. That is a brutal trade. But homeowners can change it, not by copying one old method blindly, by recovering the way old builders thought. Observe the climate, respect the sun, create shade, let hot air escape, protect the ceiling boundary. Use the right material for the right surface. Choose machines last, not first. That is the old cooling system modern builders forgot. Not one powder. not one foil, not one secret, a sequence. And that sequence can still change your house. So before you replace the AC, ask what it is fighting. Before you add insulation, ask whether the attic can breathe. Before you paint or coat a roof, ask whether the roof material allows it. Before you trust the HOA, ask who benefits from the rule. Before you believe a contractor, ask for the physics. And before you believe a video, including this one, test your own house. Measure the attic, measure the ceiling, track the time of day. Watch where the sun hits, look at the vents, look at the roof color, look at the ducts, look at the shade. The house will tell you the truth. It always does. You just have to stop treating discomfort like a mystery. A hot upstairs is evidence. A warm ceiling after sunset is evidence. An attic hotter than the outside air is evidence. Dark shingles in a hot climate are evidence. Block soffits are evidence. Ducts sweating or leaking in the attic are evidence. An HOA banning light roofs is evidence. An electric bill that rises while comfort stays poor is evidence. And the evidence points most to one conclusion. Your roof is not passive. It is either helping you reject heat or helping heat enter. There is not much middle ground. That is why this matters. Because the roof is the first battle. If the roof loses, the attic fights. If the attic loses, the ceiling fights. If the ceiling loses, the AC fights. And if the AC loses, you pay every month, all summer, year after year. So no, the answer is not always a white roof. It is not always lime wash. It is not always foil. It is not always more insulation. The answer is understanding the roof as a heat control system. That is the knowledge homeowners were never trained to use. And once you understand it, you become harder to sell to. You stop asking, what product fixes this? And you start asking, where is the heat entering? Where is it being stored? And how is the house supposed to release it? That question is dangerous because it turns a customer back into an owner. And an owner who understands the system is much harder to trap. Now, I want to hear from you. What state are you in? What color is your roof? How hot does your attic get in July? Is your upstairs hotter than downstairs? Do you have soffit vents, ridge vents, gable vents, or no idea at all? And if you have a white roof, radiant barrier, metal roof, attic fan, deep porch, shade trees, or old house cooling trick, tell us what actually happened, not theory. Before and after. Your answer may save someone else from buying a bigger AC they never needed. And in the next video, we are going deeper into the hidden part of the house almost nobody checks until it fails. The place where moisture, heat, pests, insulation, and air leaks all meet. It is not the roof. It is not the basement. It is the forgotten boundary between your living space and the attic. And once you understand what is leaking through it, your house may finally start making sense.